Good morning, everybody. I have to look at my watch, Sunday the 13th. I should know this by now because my birthday is in 31 days, right? There's 31 days in August. We're going with that, yeah. 31 days. And I'm super duper excited. Also, hi, Jen. Hi, everybody. Jen gave me this brilliant idea. Well, two brilliant ideas this morning. One, if you haven't checked out Just Jen Delaney, go do it. She's doing I think she called it Og Vlog, which I think is cute, of vlogging every day. And the two things that she made a brilliant idea was doing the vlog. So I'm going to do a daily vlog every day until my birthday. So that's 31 days. I think I said 30, but that was my bad. And then also the other thing I love that she does is every morning saying what she's grateful for, more past just, obviously I'm grateful for my husband and this, but like the small things that make a difference in our lives. And I'm going to start doing that because what does Scott always say? What she said? He's sitting across from me right now. So if you have questions,
very confused.
Being grateful. He's confused. I'm confused. But being grateful for the small things is something about gratefulness. I'm just going to drive me insane until I get this settled.
It helps you get perspective about life.
Well, yes, but also being grateful keeps us from being, ungrateful.
No, being grateful prevents us from being resentful, bitter, all kinds of things.
I'll think of it 3 days from now and then tell you, because there's a little saying he always says to me and he can't think of it right now. I've drank most of my coffee. It's butter coffee this morning. Hi, Becky. Hi, Jeanette, Rita. From the UK, Myrnie, that is it morning? No, late afternoon there. Tia. Remember, if you have questions, just throw them in there and I will get to them. And let us just jump in. I've got some questions lined up here. Fade Denims said, I'm researching the carnivore diet. One of the fears I have, which is probably strange, is that if the weight loss happens quickly, I might getting sagging, wrinkled skin. I would need to get surgery to get this corrected. Does anybody talk about this? Yeah, I do. I do got some extra skin. Here's the thing. I think there's a lot of factors that go into this. Age, how long you've been overweight, how overweight you've been, and genetics. Genetics are the biggest component here. My mom had a friend that she has exceptional amounts of collagen in her skin, and she's gone from 150 pounds all the way to 400 pounds. Not one stretch mark on this lady's body, and I mean not one. And I've seen her at different stages in her life. Not one, and she gained a lot of weight fast and lost a lot of weight. I am not blessed with a lot of collagen. I have a lot of stretch marks. So that there's a lot of factors. The dog is looking for the sunshine and it happens to be at my feet. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but this actually used to be something that would stop me, is like the fear of all the saggy skin. But then I realized that's just mostly a cosmetic thing. Who cares? Is it better to be fat and sick and overweight or have saggy skin? And I just looked at it from that perspective. I'm like, bring on the saggy skin. Because even now, at 120 pounds lost, I've got crepey stomach. I got it on my arms. I got some on my legs. And it's just it's going to be what it's going to be. And I'm okay with that. It is what it is. Hi, Sue. Just trying to get a good, true start on carnivore. I think I start and then I don't follow through. Plan ahead there. Honestly, sit down and figure out why, if you started and stopped a handful of times, what is causing it? Are you not planning ahead? Are you getting hungry? And then it's like, oh, bam, I'm going to go eat other things. Figure out where the holes are and then fill them. And until you actually sit down and admit, like, and look at why it's happening, it's going to be quite difficult. So do that. That's what I suggest. And then, excuse me, I have a carnivore's beginner guide. Read it or watch it, I guess. Searching for truth. Let's see. Hi from the UK. Hello. From what I understand, it is, sorry, I gotta prop you guys up a little bit more so I can see better. It is afternoon there from what I can tell. Really struggling to start carnivore as I've started working at an eating disorder unit and we need to be role modeling a balanced diet. I'm curious about why you need to role model a balanced diet, because in the eating disorder unit, are they watching you eat? And I imagine that's probably a very stressful thing to do as well. But what does it matter what you're eating? I mean, if you get a chance, if you can respond, what does it matter what you eat? And I also imagine that's kind of hard if, oh, sorry, there's another comment. Also, sometimes I need to eat with the patients and may need to eat what they are eating, which will throw me off. That is a very difficult place to be. Can you just eat the meat? Do you have to, like, is it just part of the job that you need to eat with them? I'm assuming probably. That's going to be a really hard thing. And honestly, if I don't know why you're doing carnivore per se, but if it's like a really like medical autoimmune kind of thing that's really important, I know you said you just started this, somewhere else might be a better option for you. And it's like so simple to say that I know it's so hard to do, but if it's being detrimental to your health, how can you really help other people? Jen, do you worry about getting a mix of carnivore items in your diet or not worry about it? Like eating a lot of beef and eggs. Should I worry about eating more chicken or pork? Personally, I find beef to be much more satiating. Pork, I kind of lost my taste for bacon. I know people are going to think this is weird, but I did. I eat 2 eggs and 1.5 to 2 pieces of bacon pretty much every morning. Most of you know I don't like eggs, but eggs have a lot of nutrients in them, and I've tried eggs 1,000 different ways. Like, I'm not one of these, I just don't like it, I don't try it. I'm willing to try things, even if I don't normally like it. People do lion, which is ruminant meat, beef, deer, bison with salt and water, and they do just fine. So I think it's up to you and what you do. We probably eat beef 5 days a week, chicken once to twice a week. I don't really eat pork chops or anything. They're just not fatty enough, but it's, I think, a big preference. But I will say fish, pork chops. Chicken, not nearly as satiating as beef for myself.
We do pork ribs, chorizo, berries.
Oh, well, Scott's right. We do chorizo sometimes and pork ribs, which are more fatty, so they're more satiating, but beef is still my go-to. In Canada, about calcium, if you're cutting back on dairy, I eat canned fish with the bones and don't want to supplement any other sources of calcium. There is trace amounts of calcium in beef and things. What you could do, if you really, really want to like up your calcium intake, take eggshells. I wish I saved this lady's video. You take the eggshells and you boil them for like 10 minutes in water, put them on a pan, roast them in the oven, like 250 for 40 minutes, if I remember correctly. And then you put them in like a Vitamix or a really good blender and turn it into powder. And you literally just scoop that and sprinkle it on your food. Boom, potassium, boom, calcium. And there you go. So that's a super good way. I have personally not done it because I do take a high quality multivitamin, so I get extra calcium that way. But the egg thing, Google it. You'll probably find better instructions other than me remembering. Been on carnivore 60 days and cheated with cookies and got dry heaves and vomited with headache. Oh, I'm so sorry. 3 eggs and LMNT helped. Yeah, our bodies, it's crazy how fast they'll respond to the bad stuff. I mean, quick. If I have anything off carnivore, I go from being able to walk 5-8 miles to I can barely make it a mile. Halfway in, my feet are killing me. Like, I can tell when we walked half a mile because, well, my watch, but my feet start aching so bad, like they've been put in a vice. It's just really, really crazy how fast the things show up. Do you think it's important to measure food intake on carnivore? I'm struggling to know if I'm doing it right just by eating without measuring. So it depends. If you're in the first beginning stages and you're still losing weight, I don't think you need to worry about it. It's learning about what true hunger feels like. If you hit a stall, I think weighing and measuring your food is a good option because I have found that my food intake crept up with all the weightlifting and stuff, but above and beyond what I actually needed. So I only do it if I'm stalled. Other than that, I don't fuss with it. Scott's giving me hand signals to drink water. He says I don't drink enough, and I probably don't.
Also, for the people that are asking questions, just starting, water intake is very important.
Learned an important thing this weekend. Water, or lack of water, can actually slow your weight loss down because you need it to flush the crap out of your system as you lose weight. So not drinking enough water can actually cause you to lose weight slower. So there's that. Hi, Amanda, extra skin, and I consider it my scars. Do I want it? No, but go ahead and own it. Yeah, I mean, I would rather take the extra weight off, physically feel better in the sense of moving around than worry about it. And, I mean, granted, I would love to get it all cut off, but if not, there are tons of things that you can do to not deal with it. We aren't allowed to have salads. If you're doing carnivore, if you're doing keto or more ketovore, then you could do salads. The difference is with carnivore, it's about true elimination. There's oxalates in vegetables that cause inflammation. There are some people that tolerate them just fine. I have autoimmune stuff, so I'm very sensitive to the inflammation. You have to decide where you're at and what you want to do. Because there's plenty of people who do keto and then ketovore and then carnivore to kind of suss out what's going on. And some people go back to like ketovore, which is mostly meat with some low carb veg in there. Hi, Betsy. Currently reading The Iodine Crisis and Upping the Amount of Iodine I supplement with. Do you supplement with iodine on carnivore? And if so, how much do you take? I take Locals 2% iodine in my coffee every morning, 2 drops. I believe last I read or heard Dr. Berry was recommending anywhere from 2 to 4 drops a day. I do not use iodized. You're hearing this every single live. I do not use iodized salt. Why? There are anti-caking agents in every one of them. Go look at the back of your salt bottle. Most of these chemicals have been banned in Europe, but they are still using them in the US. Not that Europe gets everything right, but to ban something, it has to be pretty dang bad. So keep that in mind. And I don't eat a lot of seafood. So where else am I getting my iodine? It's why I use the Locals 2%. Random question. I love random questions. I have a random brain. Have you had to resize or replace your wedding rings? No, not yet. I will. I'm actually really sad about it. I had gotten so big, I couldn't wear my wedding rings. And my wedding rings, I don't know where it's at, but it's actually 3 bands. I had 2 of them soldered together, so the engagement ring and then one of the bands, and there's a 3rd band, so it makes it symmetrical. Funny story, I guess that's how wedding rings used to be, is they were symmetrical, not these asymmetrical, because they didn't do engagement rings back in the day. This is the jeweler friend dude was telling me this. The sad news is My ring can only be sized, I believe, 1.5 sizes before it ruins the integrity of it and the gems fall out. So once I get down to my ideal weight, I will not be able to use that wedding ring anymore. But I will. I'm to the point where it's loose enough that I can't wear it like when we go paddleboarding and stuff because it risks falling off my finger into the water. Hi, Leah. Mainly a beef gal. Yes, I do like pork belly. I am feeling better today. I will say watching Jen's videos this morning helped. If you guys haven't watched any of Jen's videos, go check them out. She's doing a daily vlog. She has inspired me for the next 31 days to do a daily vlog myself. My birthday is in 31 days. And yeah, go check them out. She's super sweet. I believe it was the eggshell video. I'm going to have to find that, guys. If I can find it, I will, once the live's over, I'll put it in the description. I will look for that eggshell video because it's actually really interesting. My brother tried doing it a different way and crushing it using a mortar and pestle. It didn't do it fine enough. And then he's feeding it to his dogs. And it didn't go so well for the poor dogs. Let me just leave it at that. Lynn, I give thanks to all the cells of my body. I watched a really interesting video about, I can't remember her name. I'm really bad with names. She's been doing YouTube for a bit, and she explained, and I thought this was really well explained, and I actually want to do a video about it, that cheating, like doing these allowed cheat meals, because we're all imperfect, stuff's going to happen. I understand that when we have these, like, I'm going to purposely cheat off whatever, like carnivore, keto, whatever. She's like, imagine that you're building a house and you spend 365 days building this house and you decide, 10% of the time you're going to use suboptimal material, right? So, 36.5 days technically. And what if those days are the days that you pour the foundation for the house, or it's the lumber for the structure of the house, or it's your electrical or plumbing or flooring?
That's a pretty good analysis.
Is your house going to be sturdy? Are you going to feel safe in it? Are you going to feel like it was done the best way it could be? The answer is no. You're going to wonder about the integrity of your house because you purposely chose suboptimal materials. Well, here's the thing. Our body uses the food we eat as the materials to rebuild cells. So here's the thing. Every time we purposely cheat and do these things, we are giving our body suboptimal material to repair itself. So think about that next time you want something bad, because I've been thinking about that ever since I watched her video. I'm going to have to find it because it was really interesting. And I thought it was a really excellent way to explain it. When you first started carnivore, how much did you eat? You can actually go back. I have tons of what I ate videos if you want to be more specific with that. But in the beginning, like the first month, I didn't worry about how much I was eating. I worried about being consistent on carnivore and not letting myself get to that I'm starving phase where I wanted to eat something bad. I started 3 meals a day with snacks. And then after a couple weeks, it was like 3 meals and then 2 meals. And then eventually I did 1 meal for a while. And now I'm back to 2 meals because I do better. I actually end up consuming less energy doing 2 meals than I did 1 meal. Oh, that's okay. I mean, it helped answer it for other people, so that's all right. Tia, I have lipidemia, waiting to see the doctor. Do you think Redmond salt is okay? Everything I read says no salt, dairy. I already gave up sugar and don't want to give up salt too. We need salt to survive, okay? The way our muscles work, it's called a sodium-potassium pump. Sodium, salt. We have to have salt to survive. Now, does that mean I don't have it up here, go eat an entire thing of salt? No. But salt, if you're not having carbs, your body will release the salt easily. If you have carbs, you will retain so much fluid and salt. This is why with cardiac patients are like, oh, don't have salt. Yes, but 99.9% of cardiac patients are having carbs. Carbs retain fluid. Fluid wants you to retain the salt, and then the cycle continues. No carbs, salt is not a problem, especially with lipidemia. Because that's not lymphedema, different, very different. All right, what's for tea? That's cute. My question is, how did you feel when you realized you got this? I mean, that moment was in the hospital, and I mean, it's honestly empowering. The most empowering moment I've had in my entire life is realizing that I had gotten myself where I had gotten myself, accepting that and realizing if I had made the choices to get there, then I could make the choices to get out. So it was empowering, because something I realized is I had been blaming life, situations, other people, whatever, for where I had gotten, but it turns out no one was holding a gun to my head, forcing me to eat the cake. Bad things have happened in my life. I've had a lot of trauma, but it's my choice how I respond and react to it. And yeah, it was super empowering. Dear, I needed assistance in walking for 5 years. I've done carnivore for a month. Weight is coming off slowly, but inflammation has improved. So grateful. Thank you. Oh, I'm excited for you. I am so excited. Keep walking. Keep just little steps. Just keep going. And before you know it, you'll be running a marathon. If you wanted to run a marathon, I don't, but you know what I mean. Just the small steps, they really do add up. Adam broke through my 3 to 4 week stall, down 131 pounds. Woo woo. Now in 11 months, fit into size 34 jeans. That's amazing. From a 44 to 46 last September. Beef, salt, water. Amazing, Adam. That is amazing. Lynn, I save all my eggshells and put in simmering bone broth. There you go. I'm curious, Lynn, do they break up when you simmer them for long enough? I don't know enough about eggshells. Want to know your thoughts about implementing broccoli into my diet at day 90 mark. You absolutely, if you've made it 90 days carnivore lion diet area, you can try to implement or add back in vegetables slowly. I would suggest one thing at a time. Normally what you want to do is you want to eat a small serving one day, small serving the next day, wait a few days, see if you have any reactions, and then rinse or repeat that another, the next week, and really discover, are you reacting to the broccoli? If not, go for it. Okay, do you have any suggestions for the go snacks? Jerky isn't always my favorite. Jerky is not always my favorite either. When I do cheese, I love taking mozzarella sticks. If you're doing cheese, honestly, the cheese is a good one. If you like eggs, deviled eggs. Like Aussie people, I don't like eggs, so they don't work great for me. Literally take an entire whole egg, puts them in a bag, and they'll have the Redmond's little mini salt things, and they just pull those suckers out, salt them, and eat them. So there's an idea too. I'm going to be honest, I really don't snack anymore. I try not to. I don't really have to eat in between meals. Once you get fat adapted, the snacking kind of goes away. Now, the different story is if you're going to be gone, let's say normally you eat around 3 or 4, and for whatever reason you're going to be gone, just plan ahead and pack some stuff. If you got to put some cut up meat steak in a container and take it with you, do it and have no shame.
Butter bites.
Oh, butter bites. Thank you. You can do the browned butter bites, are a good option too. I have a video. If you don't know what those are or how to make them, you just look up brown butter bites on my channel.
Tastes like candy.
Tastes like candy. Bee sting and black pinky finger brought me to the ER with cellulitis. Wow, that is quite a reaction. Needed IV antibiotics. No, I'm not a diabetic. This way, yeah. would be going to the doctor and probably needing an EpiPen if you do not have one, if you are responding so bad to a bee sting like that. Super glad things turned out, and I'm glad you went to the emergency room and did not wait. Amazing. I think people with a lot of excessive skin after weight loss is right to want to remove it if they can afford it, as it is fair amount of weight still carrying around after weight loss. Yeah, I mean, it really, I think giving it 6 months after, let's say I hit 150 pounds, whatever I'm going to weigh, I think giving it a good 6 months to whatever's going to tighten up, but also sometimes there can just be fat underneath that, like kind of in the layers of skin that you can reduce down, will help reduce the bulk too. And as I said, genetics are it's a huge thing. Michelle, I have tons of extra skin, having lost and gained 200 pounds more than once. Today I'm 62, considering whether to have it removed surgically. And two, here's the other thing too, is depending on how much you have. Like if it's just aesthetics because it's like creepy, that's a different story versus some of us, and I probably will be in the same boat as Michelle, is if it's actually like causes folds and stuff, it can actually be a medical concern because there's so much extra skin that it causes issues. But it just depends on where you're at. Wedding ring fix. Just get an adjuster. They're under $10 and you add it to your bands, makes it fit your finger. I'll have to look. I got one time forever ago, but it was like a real cheapo, like hard one, and it drove my finger insane. But I imagine they probably have better or softer ones now. Thank you. What's for tea? I swear I answered this, but how did you feel when you realized you got this? Empowerment, 100% empowerment. Absolutely. That's the you got this. And here's the thing. The you got this does not mean that I'm not going to stumble along the way, because I'm human. I am not perfect. And we all, that's the big thing, is not expecting perfection. But the you got this for me is acknowledging carnivore is a way of life forever for me. 95% of my diet is going to be meat forever. I say 95 because we all know I still drink coffee and I have mustard and spices. All right, I'm trying to get enough electrolytes, but they are going right through me and not in a good way. I feel like I need more, but I don't want to worry about being close to the restroom. I'm curious, Lori, how far into your journey are you? If you are at the start, being near the bathroom is a thing. It was like 5-6 weeks for me. It was real bad. When you get a chance, just to respond. Sue, I only use Redmond's. Me too. There's also like pink Himalayan salt. I would just do a bit of research to see where it's actually coming from, these things. Marnie, your videos are so helpful. Thank you, Marnie, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. DC, how long since eating carnivore has your insulin resistance gone away? Well, when I started carnivore, we did blood work and my insulin resistance was like 3.5, which is high. And then we had it, 2 months ago, Scott? 11-ish months in, I had my blood work done again and it showed my insulin resistance normal. So I can't give you the exact number of when it happened from A to B, but I can tell you within like 11-month window, I went from being insulin resistant to now normal insulin sensitivity. But the first 3 months, my blood sugars were normal. However, I also wasn't eating carbs. Now, not that I should or want to, if I have a carb or sugar meal, my blood sugars react completely normal to it. How do I know? Because the times I've done it, I've checked. Also, I'm no longer a type 2 diabetic. Here's a comment for you, Scott. It's from Leah. She says, "Hi, Scott, you're amazing. I don't think you get enough praises from all of us apart from Amanda."
Well, thank you all very much.
Hi, Keto Simple. Oh, pork scratchings. Pork rinds. I'm assuming that's the same thing. Pork rinds. Those are actually good snacky snacks too. And there is a brand, because I'm not sure where you're at, Archer. It's a brand of jerky sticks. They look like Slim Jims, but they don't have all the crap in them. They're a little expensive. Costco used to sell them, not so expensive, but I had to buy them off Amazon. They're my favorite. They're a bit spicy, but I love those. I actually have some in our hiking backpack. I got some shoved in there in case one of us just feels like we need something. We take those with us. Yes.
You should also talk about bridge drinks and dealing with like hunger, like when you're kind of trying to get,
Bridge drinks. We'll talk about that. Nicole Niece's birthday party last week. I remember you said eat until full for situations. I did. I was able to resist. Yes. It doesn't make it it does make it slightly easier if you're like extra full before you go to these things, but awesome job. Mama Bear, don't worry about being late. Life continues on. Kimberly, only down 4 pounds in 2 weeks on carnivore. Is there a reason why my weight loss should start slow? I'm 57, have about 120 pounds to lose. A lot of times your body has to do a lot of healing. I had a lot of fluid, like a lot of edema, not lipedema, edema, like a lot of fluid on me. And a lot of people who start this, a massive amount, not that getting it off isn't a bad thing, because it is a good thing. Most of their weight loss is fluid weight loss in the beginning. If you were doing anything like keto or any kind of like trying to lose weight, a lot of reasons would be is you've already dropped that initial weight. 4 pounds in 2 weeks is pretty good. That's 2 pounds a week. I know we all want to see this, 5-10 pounds a week kind of thing. Our bodies will lose weight at the rate they're going to. And there's so many factors, how active you are, how much you're eating. But the big thing is don't stress about it. You're only 2 weeks in. Focus on consistency. And then after you get like 6 weeks, then you can go back and assess like, what am I eating? Am I doing dairy? Because we're not doing dairy all of August to see if it helps with my stall. But I would get to like 6 weeks before I even started messing with that, because it's the consistency and getting fat adapted.
Okay. Talk about dairy for me.
Yeah.
So,
well, can you guys hear Scott okay? Because he's on the other side of the microphone.
No.
I had to scroll down. Nobody's answered. Just talk. It's fine. Just talk loud.
So we've cut out dairy. I love cheese as a snack, as a filler between, meals, and also heavy cream on my coffee for decades. But we've discovered that I really can't have heavy cream. It makes me go all the time.
Yes.
It drives them into nuts, and it probably drives other people nuts. So I've decided after 50 years, I'm just not going to have heavy cream anymore. It's a wonderful way to discover what's going on with your body is by reducing things down to just the carnivore and then adding things in.
Yeah. Scott, as he said, 50 years drinking heavy cream. Well, he was drinking sugary creamers with heavy cream.
And yes, I was having coffee in the womb.
And he clears his throat, like that postnasal drip, pretty much gone. It did, I'm not going to lie, y'all, it drove me insane hearing all the time. Oh, sorry. Candy. What test do I ask for my insulin resistance? I'm 6 weeks carnivore and loving it. I'm glad you're loving it. You want to, this is a bit more than just insulin resistance, but you want to ask for fasting insulin resistant tests. and your A1C. You want to, even if you're not a diabetic, it is good just metric to track, but your fasting insulin is what you're going to ask for. Also, do not fast more than 12 to 14 hours before you take these tests. Dave Feldman and even Dr. Barry have talked about this. You will have it's not really artificial, but just the way our body works, you will have spikes in your insulin and your glucose once you go past that period because your body starts producing more because of the fasting. So I aim for 12 hours to do my blood work, even triglycerides and stuff. And I know they say you don't have to fast for triglycerides. Yes, you do. Do it. You can get some artificial inflation if you eat right before you go. Mama Bear, just sending some love and hugs. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Miss Lynette. Beth, I'm down almost 16 pounds and 7'1". Congrats. Docs and nurses were amazed that my blood sugar never went above 100. Nurse asked, how do you do this? You have an infection. Me, keto diet. Keto, granted, it wasn't called keto, is pretty much our ancestral way of eating. Oh, thank you, Heather. Thank you guys for saying yes. You could hear Scott. He's just on the other, literally on the other side of the laptop, so I just wasn't sure if you could actually hear him clearly. Here's a comment for you from Michelle. Scott rocks, best gonna give him a real big head. Amy, heavy whipping cream gives me terrible brain fog. I almost want to say I wonder if I've experienced that too, because despite this week being very, very stressful and emotional, and literally I found myself crying. Oh, you can see Rosie's part of her head there, crying very frequently about Rosie this week. The brain fog of not having the heavy cream has been better. So I'm wondering. I'm hoping I can have cheese intermittently though, use it like a condiment in a sense, but we'll see. Because here's the thing too, heavy cream is almost impossible to find without carrageenan, carrageen plus, or they use something else. So the other part of me wonders, could it just be the additives? That would be an experiment down the road. Kelly, I'm just like Scott whipped cream, but I can't quit yet working on it. Hey, it's taken me 13 months to convince Scott to do an entire month without dairy. Don't stress about it. Worry about being consistent, and then you can start dropping things. Jessica, have you and Scott thought about creating a cookbook for carnivore? I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, and he suggested this. That is in the idea book. I would probably just do a PDF version of it because we all know I like simple. My recipes are most likely going to be how to spice things to make them tastier. Because we do have a few yummy recipes, like the chicken cordon bleu, but they use, I gotta move my leg. They use heavy cream and cheese. Are you concerned about taking in too much protein at one time? I've read a few times that anything over 40 grams in one sitting, your body will turn into sugar, so OMAD might not get enough protein. Well, technically I do chew MAD now, but no, it depends on, that number is arbitrary in some sense. How active you are, if you're male or female, your genetics, all of these play a role in, how quickly your body or how much you can intake. Do you work out? All of this, how active, did I already say that? If I did, my bad. All of this has an impact on it. And, and here's the other thing. Gluconeogenesis, and that's what she's referring to as the protein being turned into sugar. It is an on-demand process. So what happens is your body won't just instantly turn all of that into sugar. If your body doesn't need it, it will store the protein, not just turn it into sugar. Plus, it will also not glycation. My brain is not functioning. This sugar stored in the liver. My brain's farted, whatever I thought it is. It'll store some extra there too. So in one sense, nah, not at all. Karen, I clear my throat a lot even after I got rid of cream. Had this through my years. Maybe still butter in the coffee. Maybe. Try ghee. I haven't tried ghee, but you might be one of those people that's super sensitive to the even trace amount of the milk solids in the butter. Could try it. Try it for 30 days. Doesn't work, then hey, move on to something else. Having my annual fasting blood work first thing tomorrow morning. Looking forward to it. My cardiologist is completely on board. Yay! Yay to your cardiologist. Scott, you are spot on. Just cut something and test because we are all different. I also decreased my cream with amazing results. To put 1 tablespoon in my coffee. I'll be interested to see if he can put any, like after the 30 days, if he can tolerate any. But here's the thing. Scott has 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day.
I will not survive if I do not replenish the caffeine in my bloodstream.
So he was getting a lot of heavy cream because he would put it in every single cup. He never measured it, but I can tell you it was probably like 8 tablespoons a day at least.
Essentially, for my life, it was my bridge drink.
Yeah.
And I never really knew that, but that's one of the things that I would do all the time instead of eat, would drink coffee.
Yeah. Switched from keto to carnivore 3 weeks ago, down 12 pounds. Whoop, whoop. Good job, Heather.
All right.
I'm curious on how you're feeling. I really am. Kim, question, ways to decrease triglycerides. 188. Triglycerides, like their main function is when they are high, one, a lot of nitrates can cause it. Didn't realize this till my cardiologist pointed that out. But 2, decreasing, and this is not telling you to starve yourself. Please do not take this wrong. The amount of energy you're eating, when we are eating more energy than our body needs, they get stored as triglycerides or changed into triglycerides. Also, being active. So I would slightly decrease what you're consuming, but don't do it so you're like starving. That's not even remotely a suggestion. Increase your activity. Those are the 2 things that you can do to drop your triglycerides. And I'm curious, Kim, if you're doing keto carnivore and how long you've been doing it. Lori, appreciate how honest you are with your struggles. Food, sugar addiction doesn't just go away. No. And I think I mentioned this last week, I still think about that comment someone made like in my 8 months. They're like, you've been doing this for 8 months. You should have this down pat. I would be lying if I did. And honestly, most people who say that, because I don't know everything on this planet, I'm not omnipotent, but I can tell you the majority of people who do, they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to others. If you've been a binge eater and used food for emotional support, it is a deeply ingrained habits. And what habits just disappear? Like I've taken a shovel and scraped out a habit portion in my brain, and I've scraped it all the way down to the center of my brain. Samantha, do you think carnivore will be a forever lifestyle for you? Yes. 95% of my diet will always consist of animal products. And as I mentioned before, the other 5% is because, well, I have coffee and spices and mustard and hot sauce. That's it. So, I feel amazing, and I will never, in any way, shape, or form, ever go back to the standard American diet. Ever.
Can I say something about that in general?
Yeah.
I've spent a lifetime having frozen pizzas and Marie Callender's, pot pies, 10 minutes cooking because I want to not clean up. I want to not take the time to cook. And so I had terrible food for a long time. We tried to cook, we do other things, never really worked, throw food out. Now on carnivore, I have 15-minute meals that are delicious and healthy and very affordable. We, bought flanker ribs on sale. We have a video about it. A pound of flanker ribs is 3 minutes to cook, 4 minutes to prepare, and it cost me $4.78 for a pound. Mm-hmm. Like, it's incredibly, it is a lifestyle that is totally sustainable that I enjoy.
We save so much money. A comment I get all the time is they're like, how can you afford it? Now, I can only talk about the US. I know they're like with Australia and other places in the, Europe, the prices are very different. So I've not been there, so I can't really talk to that. But here in the US, if you are willing to put the footwork in, and that's the key, is if you're one of these that want to go to this one store and be done, it can be expensive because you're just going to have to get what you get. But if you're willing to look for these sales and get a deep freezer, I know that's not optional for everybody, but let me tell you something. Scott and I lived in a tiny apartment, and guess what? We got a deep freezer. I was willing to give up some of the tiny apartment space to save money. If you're in an RV and stuff, that's a different story. But that is just amazing. Amazingness. So yes, I will. This will be a lifestyle forever. Now, at some point, I would like to try to see if I could add a couple intermittent veggies in. I strongly think I'm not going to be able to tolerate it because of the oxalates and the autoimmune. But down the road, I think probably around two years, once I get to my idealish, whatever that is, weight, and because having the extra weight still causes inflammation, then I might try to see if I can add some vegetables like asparagus or Brussels sprouts. Most likely I won't, but that's down the road to deal with that. I've managed to stop blood pressure medication. That is amazing. Feel great, 28 pounds to reach my goal weight. Whoop, whoop. That is awesome. I think Scott and I were made from the same mold. Do 5 to 6 cups of coffee each day. I'm not saying that's good, just stating a fact. And he knows it too, but he also has come to realize he's never been a huge eater. He actually eats more than I do now. But what he's found is he used the coffee, not realizing it. He drank it all day long, so then he didn't eat much. I am working on cutting his coffee intake down because I do 1 cup, sometimes half a cup a day. I probably could replace it with tea, decaf. I don't really need the caffeine. I just like the taste of it. But he's a little bit of addicted as he's snickering over there. Reno 2 Little, thank you for the super chat. Wanting to experiment with bone broth in morning instead of coffee. That is a fantastic idea, and I actually think that's something that I want to do sooner than later with him and me. Trying to get away from heavy cream and coffee. Your thoughts on that idea? I think it is a beautiful idea because part of what I like about the coffee is the warmth of swallowing it, just the warm feeling when it's cooler in the morning. I think it's a beautiful idea, and you can put butter in it. I mean, I put butter in my coffee, but you can still get that, stick it in. Okay, now I'm really excited. Put it in the blender with some butter, cream it up. That sounds delicious. And if you can make your own bone broth, even better. It's even better if you put spices. If you do spices, you can make some amazing, amazing bone broths. Now I feel like that's what we're going to be doing in the next week or two, making bone broth to drink it in the mornings. Jody, stop coffee, have a hot cup of salt water instead. For me, I've tried the salt water thing. It just doesn't do it for me, but I am very glad it does it for you. And it's good for you, getting some extra water in it, because as I mentioned earlier, turns out you need water to lose weight. Learning things, Cut my son's triglycerides in half by reducing his carbs as low as possible. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but I guess that was an assumption made on my part, which was a bad thing. Is cutting carbs. Carbs and fat are the devil together. Very bad. Kathleen lost 30 pounds in 8 weeks doing basically ketovore and walking. You guys should know how much I love walking. It is so good. I really should do a walking video, and I'm going to sometime in the future. Walking, it is so good for us. Not only does it help you burn some extra energy, but don't walk because of that, because then you're going to hate it. It is good for the joints, the ligaments, the tendons. It's really good for my ladies that are postmenopausal to help with osteoporosis, and bone mass. Why? Because as you build muscle, you're not going to get bulky from it, but as you build muscle walking, your tendons and ligaments, they pull on the bone, so the bone actually has to thicken. Super important. I mean, I also strongly suggest weightlifting my postmenopausal ladies, well, and before that, because that helps. Osteoporosis is a thing, but you can reverse it and you can prevent it. So do the walking. And it's good for cardiovascular. It's good for our lungs. It's good for our digestion.
We haven't even talked about the mental health benefits.
Oh.
But they've had all kinds of mental health, like
And
research.
the mental health, being outside, being in the sun, even if you're someone like me that has to cover up most of the time, those super important. I'm so sorry. I did forget. Thank you for sitting on the other side of me, being my catch-all. I think I'm thinking of trying carnivore because I heard it can stop body aches. I have some shoulder issues. Let me tell you what, depending on why you have them, the answer is most likely yes, it will, especially arthritis, old injuries, the inflammation in there. It will just evaporate. My aches and pains were from the autoimmune, but it got so bad that elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, even my non-weight bearing joints like my upper extremities and stuff, painful. Using my hands, painful from the aches, just completely gone. Completely. The only time I experience something now is if I really overdo it, like with the weightlifting and stuff. If I push myself really, really hard, the next day or that evening, I'll have like this super ache, and then the next day it's gone. Yeah, this is a good point too. Any form of fruit or honey. Most of you should know I'm not in the fruit and honey camp for carnivore. And this is because if you have extra weight like I do, you do not need the sugar. It will just spike your desire to have more sugar. Don't do it. If you're super fit and healthy, then I'd say maybe you'd be fine, but I'm still in the camp of sugar makes you want to eat more sugar. Jade, carnivore is affordable and creates so much less trash. Yes. If you guys just call your trash people, because I didn't even know this was a thing. We changed our trash from weekly pickup to bi-weekly and saved $60 a month just having them come every other week for our trash. What I did was I went to Lowe's and bought like a small, I don't know, it's like 3 feet tall, round plastic trash can with a lid. And that's where we put all of our meat, like bones that we're not using, or the meat packaging out there, so it doesn't make the house smell. So we end up using a lot less bags, and I have it outside so like raccoons can't get in it. With the lid, works perfectly, saves money. Started carnivore 6-1, but struggling with sweets, have to have a bite, stopping soda and veggies, reading Atomic Habits, not getting enough steps a day. Kim, the have to have a bite, I suggest looking at that. There's something like mentally in there that you think you have to have the bite. And I can't answer that for anybody. Like for me, what I can answer you is stress or wanting to have an internal change of state. Like if I'm stressed, I want to change my internal environment of not being stressed. So I would reach for sugar. Is that what you're doing? And if it is, my goal this week is bike riding with my headphones and listening to classical music. And I should say when I say classical music, because someone made a comment that classical music was too amped for them, I'm more talking about like slow, gentle, classical remix music. Myrna, I like dairy but dropped it from my lifestyle and I don't miss it. There are some people that just can't do it. Lori, down 36 pounds. Congrats. Did ketovore for 30 days and last month carnivore. Just stopped diet soda. Wasn't as bad as I thought. Feels so much better. Yay, Lori. For those of you that are struggling with soda or juice, because I was never a soda person, I like using the unsweetened, like no sugar, no artificial sweetener, seltzer waters. Yes, they still do have natural flavoring in them, which is not 100% the greatest, but they are really good transition, and I still drink them. For those that are juice or soda people that need something, if you want to be even better, you can just do plain old seltzer water unflavored and drink that if you need the bubblies. Farmer's wife fell off the bandwagon last week and it wasn't long before binge eating came back in play. Yeah, I hate to say this, but it's never going to go away. I think we just get a bit stronger the further we get away from it and we discover what our triggers are to prevent it. So it's like we don't put ourselves in positions that will trigger it. So it's less likely to happen. Not that it's just not there. You got this. Remember, whatever it is you have in your house, throw it away after this, or heck, get up from the computer right now, go throw it away, open it up, throw it in the trash can, dump coffee grounds on it, do whatever you got to do, and start right now. Start right now new. Scott wants to say something.
One of the biggest things to learn about going to carnivore and eating habits is to give yourself grace. Learn to forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes. Learn to also just have integrity. Look at why you got there. Were you stressed? Did you have things in your face that, you can only say no so long? Could you have made better choices beforehand? And just accept that and then move on. Because if you just beat yourself up continuously for doing something wrong, you will beat yourself into the ground and
keep doing bad eating. I wish I could copy Scott and, get him in every household, because he's great to have, especially when I find myself beating myself up. Samantha, do you take electrolytes, vitamins, and if so, what do you recommend? For electrolytes, I do the LMNT, and if you want it, you can just go to drinklmnt.com/carnivores me. For vitamins, we take Country, I think it's Light, Lite. It could be Country Life from Whole Foods. I believe on the webpage carnivoresme.com, the Amazon symbol has the exact ones. It has the Locals 2% that I use. It has the vitamins that I use. Check your vitamins. Vitamin D3. A lot of them have seed oils in it. You have to be very, very specific when you buy them. Read the labels. Also because it's a multivitamin, I take the women's multivitamin, Scott takes the men's. They can have a lot of additives. You have to do a heck of amount of research. And I consider that my insurance. If I'm not getting something because I don't like liver and stuff, well, I might spend $30 a month on vitamins, but it gives me some peace of mind. Nancy, I've always been a volume eater. I'm so afraid of eating too much meat. It never looks like enough food. That is a mental thing, and it's going to take time. I suggest getting a smaller plate, not a regular plate. Get a smaller one. I know it works, because if you have the same amount of food on a smaller plate, it tricks our brain into thinking, oh, that's a lot of food. Grab a smaller plate when you eat. Okay, this will help. And then pay very close attention to your stomach, not your brain. Cravings are never telling us to eat a steak, right? They always want us to eat something bad. Cravings are about wanting an emotional state change. Our stomach tells us when we need to eat. At every bite you take, listen to your stomach. Does it still feel hungry? I Stop eating when I'm no longer hungry, not when I'm full. If I eat until I'm full, I've eaten too much. Just spend the time focusing on that. That's my suggestion. And over time, your body and you will learn what your stop eating signal is. Christine, thank you for sharing the link for the curing calculator. Ooh, what are you curing, Christine? I'm hoping in a few months, Scott and I will just get our own smoker so we don't have to drive an hour to my brother's. Because I want to start smoking brisket and chicken, and we haven't been making our own bacon because my brother moved in his house. He's redoing the inside of his house, so it's a hot mess. But I want to go back to making our own bacon because I love it. What kind of butter do you use? We use Costco's unsalted butter. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I do not like, is it Marigold? Kerrygold. I don't like Kerrygold's butter. Plus, some of their butter has some additives in it. It's just hit and miss. I don't like the taste of it. I suggest always unsalted butter, by the way, because then you can always add your salt. Plus, let me tell you what, the salt they're using is not good quality salt in these things. Candy, 6 weeks strict carnivore, lost 4 pounds, but I feel so much better all around. Have you heard of anyone else losing such little weight? Oh, yeah. You know, mine actually, I think came in the mail. I have to go check. Get a scale that does body fat percentage. The one I ordered, because I did a bit of research, it's Oxiline, Oxiline. You have to order it directly from them. Amazon only has knockoffs. It's like plus or minus 3% accuracy compared to a DEXA scan, which the DEXA scan, most of us know, is a body fat percentage stuff. I think it was like $120 or something like that for the scale, because my old scale only did weight. Our body will fluctuate a lot in the amount of water, right? 1 gallon of water is 8.3 pounds. If you drink a lot of water and you have not peed it out, your weight is not going to fluctuate much. It's going to fluctuate quite a bit, okay? 4 pounds in 6 weeks is still a good amount of weight. It's 4 pounds less than what you were weighing, and you are feeling better. Give yourself just a little bit more time to adjust. You may just be eating a bit more if you're stress eating, emotion eating, these kinds of things. It's all about learning what your cues and hungers things are. Do not make it all about the weight, because you're going to want to quit when it doesn't go the way you expect. Scott has his hand raised. Scott?
Sorry. One of the things that Amanda ran into early on, and I did to her because I just brought the receipts, was like, I'm only having, an off carnivore meal. This is when she was stressed, about the 4 to 6, time frame, maybe once every 2 weeks. And then I showed her the receipts with the credit card where we go out and get a burger and fries. And it was like, well, this is kind of actually every 5 days. So if you are really kind of struggling with like how your progress is simply start a food journal and have a look.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you are doing great. So then that just gives you the confirmation that you're eating right, you're doing what you should be doing. And have the integrity, write everything down. And just, I had a little bit over here, or I had some cookies here or something.
Make sure you measure your foods. If you're doing the food journal, best guesses do not work. You're going to get a really poor metric of it. Sorry, go ahead, honey.
Anyway, so like a food journal is always the place to start if you're not sure, like, why is this not happening? Because then you just kind of really look at what you're eating, how often you're eating, and that will help you kind of see where you can make some changes.
I was using honey mustard for a while. I'm like, in my brain, I'm using 2 teaspoons. When I measured it, I was using 2 tablespoons. Okay. Like I genuinely was trying not to lie to myself that I was using 2 teaspoons, but just my view of a tablespoon to a teaspoon was very unrealistic. Needless to say, we don't have honey mustard in the house anymore. We only have Dijon mustard, which has no sugar or carbs. It's these small things that can cause it that we really genuinely feel like we're doing well. But until we write it down and measure it, because I'm not a proponent of doing that forever. I'm doing it for the next 30 days. But if you're stuck, start with journaling what you eat. Cordelia, day 28. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Needed rid of my sugar addiction. I hope to drop a few pounds. Your communication skills and explanations have been helpful. Thank you. Past week, my brain fog cleared, starting to feel chilly. Also, Scott rocks. His head has grown like 2 sizes from the start of this live.
Leave the room and go to the
Your
bathroom.
head's going to get stuck in the doorway. Just keep on keeping on. 28 days. It took me like 5 or 6 weeks, granted, because I was sick and really obese. It's going to be different for everybody's body, how fast they get fat adapted. But the fact that the past week your brain fog has cleared up is good signs that you're getting fat adapted. And just, that's the thing is, we need to stop. And I'm talking to myself in this too, focusing on just the weight. If I didn't lose another pound right now, I would still continue carnivore. Why? Because I feel so much better. The ability to wear clothes and not have literal pain for my clothes touching myself is worth it if that's all I gained out of this, because that's how bad it was for me. Beth, using recumbent bike while binge watching, doing the thing, the duty the engineer did about tying his bike to watching Netflix. Perfect. Why don't people mention how often is how cold one gets when you are thin?
I'm wearing flannel.
Your arm. Scott's skinny and he does get cold frequently. You know how you can combat that? Becoming more active. And it's not just the active time. It is literally just as you become more active, your body will just stay warmer. So that is one thing to work on. Okay. 5 more minutes, y'all. We'll do it a little bit longer today. Crystal, roughly how long did it take for the pain to go away? I noticed within 2 weeks, the pain was better. To completely go away, a few months. But I noticed a big difference, honestly, within a few weeks. Yeah. Jade, my husband's gotten way healthier. Oh, Jade, I'm going to come back to this. Scott ran downstairs to get more coffee. I want to read that to him. Wow, thank you for the information. You are welcome, Vinny. Congrats on everything. Could you have avocados on this diet? If you're doing more ketovore, do it. But here's the big old but. I strongly suggest 90 days of carnivore, and then trying to add the avocado in. Why? 90 days clears a lot of the toxins and chemicals built up out of your body. And then you can do a trial of, do you tolerate avocados well? Some people will, some won't. Do keep in mind, avocados are technically a fruit. So there's that. And if you are counting carbs, do not fall into the trap of net carbs. It is not 1 for 1. I know, like, they sell this on, if you have 1 carb and 1 dietary fiber, they cancel each other out. That is not how it works. It can help mitigate it, but it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Do total carbs. So there's your answer. And maybe you already know you do fine with avocados. Do it. If your weight slows down, then you know to chuck them out temporarily. But again, this is all about finding what's going to work and be sustainable for you. Jade, bubbly is my favorite, which is a seltzer water drink. No sweetener, no artificial sweeteners in it. How about using elements in sparkling water? I've done that. I actually like it. You just have to make sure you pair if you do the flavored element and you're doing the flavored seltzer water, you pair them well together. I've done some weird combinations that have not tasted well. If you are trying to get away from the sweets, do the unflavored raw element. The others have stevia in them. So you're just trading one artificial sweetener to. Technically, stevia is not an artificial sweetener, but it is a sweetener. So there's my 2 cents. Because I do have some of the element, the stevia ones, but I use those probably 2 to 3 times max a week. I use the raw ones, the unflavored ones, more than anything. Trying carnivore, but I've been an avid veg gardener for years. If you're doing okay on that, spices. Grow you some spices if you do that. Meg, a lot of us are addicts. Yes, we are. Having an accountability partner you can call on can help a lot. Yes. Accountability partners are so very important. They give us external outside pressure because we have someone we're going to talk about it. Friend, family member, someone that is going to be honest, real, and not lie to you. If you don't have that, there are tons of communities. We have a locals community you can join. It's like $7 a month. And the ladies are great there. I post there every day as well. And then if you need even more, there's coaching. There's all sorts of coaching. I do coaching. Nisha does it. Like, there are all sorts of levels of accountability that you can do. Where do you purchase your iodine? I just get it off Amazon. You go to carnivorousme.com. The little Amazon symbol at the top will show you the link to get it. It's just Lugol's 2% iodine. They have like a 5 or 6 that is too much, and it will burn your mouth, let me tell you. Ask me how I know. Lynette, do you ever do physical therapy appointments virtually? Going to have spinal fusion surgery in next few months and would adore having you as a PT. That's very sweet. We are limited by the states we have licenses in, so that is not a possibility to do that. But there are plenty of things that, like, is it Bob and Brad? I hate to say this, but they're a bit too much for me. But they have really good information on there, plus the disclaimer of, like, right, they're not your personal physical therapist, but they have a lot on there. If you want to message me, Miss Lynette, we can find the ones for you for helping with that. But really, you're going to just need to rest in the beginning because you're going to have a lot of precautions. And depending on your surgeon, you might have a TLSO, thoracic lumbar sacral orthosis or orthotic. It's a back brace, just depending on how much, who, when, where. Lori had RNY 2019, lost 110 pounds, but gained back 60. I started keto, February, lost 30. So far, my problem is leg cramps. I've tried everything. Maybe I don't absorb. What can I do? Lori, I'm curious how your salt, potassium, magnesium intake. Have you done electrolytes? Are you drinking enough water? If you want to answer those, I will scroll and try to find that. Weight loss is not linear. You lose slow, then fast, then not at all. Rinse and repeat. Yes, that is. Our bodies are going to lose it at the rate they're going to lose it, not what we want them to. Because, right, I'd like, come on, Amanda, body, like, let's lose it all right now, but it's not going to happen. And so many factors. How active have you been, lifting weights, stress eating, who knows? Here we go, Lori. I'm curious about your water intake with that, because it's not always that you are low on a vitamin or mineral, and your salt intake. I'm also curious about that because the keto chow vitamins, if I remember correctly, they're the drop ones. They don't have salt, just depending on the ones you're doing. Because my salt intake has doubled, if not tripled, since doing carnivore compared to what it was. How do you deal with friends and people that have health issues and complain, and carnivore can help them, but they still think it's extreme? I hate to say this. You have to be their shining light and just let them choose. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's a quote, and I don't remember it exactly, but it's pretty much, we all hold the internal key. We're all standing inside our door, holding the internal key of the willingness to change, and we have to be the ones to open it. No amount of begging, pleading, cajoling, or trying to manipulate it's going to get someone to change until they want to. And that's key. They have to decide to change. And the best thing you can do is not constantly nag them, but be that shining light and show the improvement and change. Convince them through your beautiful metamorphosis into a butterfly. Lori, the salt, I'm really thinking it's the salt. And please don't use iodized salt. I already went on my rant about the iodized salt. Kelly, have the opposite problem, always hot. When I was 360 pounds, I was always hot. As I've lost weight, my hotness has gone down to now room temperature is temperate perfectly for me. Kim, I'm not stressed, just a chocoholic. I will conquer it. Carnivore, obviously better choice to get triglycerides down. Just don't want to sabotage myself with too much fat and make it go up, wouldn't it? No. If you are not eating the carbs, and here's the thing, this is why people always want to know why people are so fat now. Well, we went from the spectrum of low fat, high carb. You can lose weight on low fat, high carb. It's a terrible way to do it. Why? Because you're always hungry and you have to eat constantly, and it's the yo-yo of blood sugars because your body's relying on carbs. There is the high fat, low carb. Much better, much more pleasant. Why? Your body gets fat adapted. If you have fat, it has a seamless stream of energy and you're satiated. The problem is the standard American diet and the world diet has combined carbs and fat together. Carbs get broken down first into energy. And this is why people are like, oh, if I eat fat, it's going to make me fat. In some regards, yes, if, and here's the big if, you are eating it with carbs. And that is the key. Carbs are high energy. Fat is high energy. Well, you're putting two things together that are high energy that work on the opposite end of the spectrum. Your body will always use carbs and sugar first because it's so easy to break down into energy. Why is it going to spend more energy to break things down when it can be like, boom, glucose from that sugar I just consumed versus doing like the 6 to 8 steps it takes to turn the protein and fat into energy, right? And this is the problem with the standard American diet is it's combined both of them. I am not advocating for low fat. Low fat was on this side because it is, as I said, it's kind of a miserable way to lose weight. Possible, but miserable. Okay. So if you're not eating the carbs, your triglycerides will not go up unless you eat in sticks of butter a day. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you can have them go up if you are consuming a crap ton of fat. But let me tell you, you're going to have to eat a lot, and you're probably going to have to eat past where you're satiated. Like if you're actually overeating, because you can't overeat on carnivore, it just is a lot harder. But if you are paying attention to your hunger, I wouldn't stress about it at all. Like at all. That mirror is kind of distracting. It needs to be taken down because it's in a weird place, but we didn't actually put it up. It was in this house. I just haven't taken it down. But I can add that to Scott's to-do list.
What? No! Okay.
Do you use electrolytes every day if you're not active yet? When I was less active, did half a pack. So I just do half, personally. We're just going to go to 10:30 because that's where we're at right now.
My fault. Too much talking.
What weight are you at now? I don't know. How much did I weigh when I weighed last time? I had gained 5 pounds, but that was almost 2 weeks ago because I'm only doing once a month weighing. 244?
Something like that. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. But I ordered a new scale that does the body fat percentage because I lost some inches, but my weight went up. So it's like, what's going on here? And I listened to some very wise people and decided the weight is not the greatest metric, but the body fat composition for it. Yes. Be the lighthouse, not the foghorn. People want to drown out the foghorn. They just get tired of being told what to do. And as I said, they have to be willing to change. Willing to change. When you lose weight, you become another type of hot. That's funny. Janet, it's been easy to not eat carbs because they make me so tired. They do. Talk about like bloat and feeling bogged down. For real. Like just terrible. Barbs, I was staying with friends last week when I told her saturated fat does not cause heart attacks. I could tell she didn't believe me and she raised her eyes. I really strongly suggest, even if you don't have a medical background, you can kind of wade through it and you don't really need to listen or understand all of it. If you look at not the meta studies, but the original studies on saturated fat, like if you're interested in this, I will aggregate those one day soon for you guys so you can go and read them. They considered, like in these studies, that saturated fat caused more cardiac events. They considered a pizza with pepperoni on it in the meat category. They used highly processed meats, deli meats, you name it, that's got a lot of sugar in it too. And they considered these towards the saturated fat is bad for you. They did not use ground hamburger and steak and just plain old chicken. They used things that had a lot of chemicals in it and that was not just meat. And so it's like, how can you say this? But they did. They did. And you'll be honest, most doctors don't even know this because they haven't read them. A lot of these studies were done in the 50s and 60s. They just look at the meta studies and are like, man, saturated fat, it's bad for you.
George Burns.
George Burns, who's that?
So a lot of your audience will probably recognize him. George Burns was a comedian who lived to 99, having cigars, bacon, and eggs every day.
Hey, I found a clip on Twitter from, what was it, like the 60s or 70s of it was like a weight loss group. And the lady's like, I'm going to do the quick weight loss diet. And the therapist is like, what's that? And she's like, just eating meat. Literally, that was their quick weight loss diet, was just eating meat. That was in like the 60s and 70s. Beth, did you get the Renfo scale? No, it's Oxiline, Oxiline. I did a ton of research and it was the best one I found that had the best accuracy for the body fat percentage. Did you say Ansel Keys?
Huh? Ansel Keys.
I don't even know who that is. It sounds familiar though.
George Burns.
George Burns. 240. You know what? When I like get kind of like espresso depresso, I don't really get espresso depresso anymore, but when I even get remotely down on it, I think about when I was 360 pounds, I would have given my right leg just to be like 280. And I try to focus on that. And that's why the non-scale victories are so, so important. So important. Yeah, same with the cholesterol. It's the same thing. The studies, there was, I don't remember the last one, the name of the last one. I'm going to aggregate these one day for you guys. They completely eliminated, because it's like LDL cholesterol is bad. They completely eliminated an entire cohort, which is just a group of people. And I want to say it was like 60 to 63, somewhere in there, because they had high LDL-C. That's your normal like cholesterol panel thing they do. And they said they were outliers. And removing them completely changed the statistical analysis of the data because it didn't fit their hypothesis. And most of these things are like, I hate to be like this, conspiracy theorists, but a lot of these are paid for by food companies and drug companies.
Yeah, they're just goal seeking their study.
Can you link the scale you bought? Let me see if I can just do that real quick so I don't forget. Oops. Did I do it? That was such a long link. I imagine you just go to the Oxiline thing. I don't know if that's going to work. Oh yeah, Totem, Ansel Keys. That's why the name's familiar. Everyone believes saturated fat. He was the one that he was pretty much the only physician. He got in front of Congress, if I remember correctly, and was like, this is bad. And then the FDA is like, okay. And Gym diet. Just eat meat. That's cute. Kelly said, Scott, I almost spit out my water. Who is George Burns? He was so funny saying your age.
So true.
If you guys didn't know, I'm 33 and Scott is 50. So there's a 16-year age difference between us. So there's a lot of things he says I do not get the context of because, you know. Lynn said, youth, George Burns, and so many famous people that are no longer remembered.
Yep.
Oh, goodness. Beth said George Burns was a famous comedian who also starred in the Oh God movies.
Yep.
I'm not sure what those movies are.
Movies. Those are hilarious.
He had his own show and would say at the end of every show, "Good night, Gracie," who was his late wife. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. That's so sweet. Oh. Karen said, "It's okay, Scott. We get you."
Thank you.
Totem said, "I'm European, so I know nothing." I'm not European, and I still don't know anything. I thought you were the same age. Scott seems younger than 50. He looks like late 30s. Oh. He does look so, actually, since he started Carnivore too, he looks so much younger. And honestly, his hair has thickened. I'm going to say it anyways. His hair is thickened and stopped falling out because he was getting that, what's it called? It's called widow's peak, I thought, on women. But what's it called on men?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm just going to call it a Picard.
Picard. Yeah, I really liked Picard. And
there you go. So that makes it acceptable.
I thought he was attractive when I was younger, and I still do to this day. His hair has gotten thicker, and it stopped falling out amazingly since he's done Carnivore.
Yeah,
and
testosterone probably.
Well, possibly. I mean, I don't know.
Did you tell the whole group? Most people know, but
Scott wants me to share, and we'll do this. And yes, I'll put the name in, Jessica, and that is the brand, Oxaline. What was it? Oh, he wants me to share this. I'll finish this up. If you have any questions, throw that in there one more time, and then I'm going to pop off. His testosterone, when he was 44, we had it checked. It was 243, if I remember correctly. Low. I mean, it was low. Scott has had low testosterone his entire life. We know this. Why? Because his dad and his brother swole. Scott could not gain muscle to save his life. He's always been that tall, skinny stick. And then we had it checked 2 months ago, something like that, because we are in the process of planning family, to have a family. I still need to lose a bit more weight, but we want to get our eggs in a row. Eggs in a row. That's funny. I didn't mean that. I meant ducks, but eggs came out. We had his testosterone checked because it was low before. It is now over 650, and the only single thing that changed is he went carnivore. That is it. His hair has grown back thicker. It has stopped falling out. He definitely receding. Darla, thank you. It's receding hairline. God, I don't know why I couldn't think that. His hair stopped falling out. It's actually grown thicker. He's had some really big improvements. And we're going to the gym, and he's actually putting on some muscle now. So, Okay, now I'm going to have to go find the Oh God movies. All right, y'all. Thank you for staying with me. If you have for this last hour and a half, it was fun. It's going to be a little different for the next 31 days. I am going to do a daily vlog of what I'm eating, the life and the day of my carnivore-ness until my birthday, which is September 13th. So, and then figure out what we're going to do from there. But that's what it's going to look like. I will still continue to do every week the Brain Not Working, Atomic Habits, because if you haven't read that book, read it. Read it. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you guys back Sunday again at 9 o'clock next week, and I will talk to you soon. Scott, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.